Okay. Why is that being weird? Hey. Hi, everyone. Just trying to make sure we are live on all three of our channels here. Looks like we're okay. I've got to send this link here real quick. Couple places. Yeah, it's just now time to start. So, okay. Let's see. I'm going to put the YouTube link. Okay. I think that we're good to go. Try and move these in to where you can all see. Okay, we're good. Facebook, Meet Me. Meet Me's back. I lost you guys last Monday. But I've been working on it today, trying to get it back. What a frustrating thing. Wow. Are we good to go? Okay. Praise the King. Welcome to Believer Central World Update. I'm Lisa Dennis Sparks, and this is your way. Happy Bible study. Glory to God. This is Wisdom Wednesday. We're in the Psalms, but what I want to do first is talk to you about a really big problem we all have right now. Well, most people. I don't really have that problem, but that's why I'm going to talk to you about it. A lot of people are really unhappy in the world right now. They don't understand why they're not happy. They just know that they aren't. They just know that they're not happy. So, the first thing that we're going to do is talk about how we can be happy in the world uh, here and while everything is crumbling around us. Okay. Now, first, we need to figure out why we're unhappy. And the reason you're so unhappy, those that are unhappy, a lot of people are, the reason you're so unhappy is because someone is messing with your life. They're they've taken control of your life and you don't like it. That's why you're unhappy. Now see, your life has been controlled by the world system, the AI. Satan is AI, and he controls the world, the digital world around us. Now, when you were born, he took control over your life, and you don't mind much as long as he leaves you alone. But when he starts messing with your life, you don't like it, and you get unhappy real quick because you don't have control. Well, we have to take back control over our lives. And the way we do that is to tell the sneaky sucker, you don't get to control me. You don't get to control me. I'm taking control back from you and I'm handing it over immediately to Jesus Christ. We cannot fight him off by ourselves. He's too strong for us. The AI is way smarter than we are and stronger than we are. We can't do it ourselves. But we can say, you know what, oppressor, you don't get to mess with my life like this. You don't get to control me. I may not be able to control my life myself efficiently, but Jesus can. So we take it back from the oppressor and we put it immediately into the hands of Jesus Christ, saying, Lord, my life's a mess. The oppressor is on my back. I want you to take control of my life. I give you my life. You take control of it, and I will love and trust you and obey your word. And that is how you take control away from the oppressor and you put it in the hands of someone who loves you, isn't going to mess with your life, and is always going to have your best interests at heart. Always. That's what you do. You're unhappy because the oppressor is playing with your life like a toy, and you don't have control, and you don't mind when he leaves you alone. You don't really notice that oppression when he leaves you alone, but when he starts messing with your life, then you notice. You're made aware of that control and you don't like it. So, the only thing you can do is take it back. Take it from him and hand it to Jesus. If you attempt to take it from him and you don't hand it over to Jesus, he's going to mop the floor with you. The only way you can take it back is to hand it over immediately to Jesus Christ. Tell Jesus, Lord, take my life. I give my life to you. I'm going to I want to learn from you. I want to obey you and trust you. You take control of my life. And he will. Okay? But keep in mind the oppressor is not going to be happy about that. The oppressor is going to retaliate and attempt to reacquire that control over you. But as long as you stick with Jesus, he can't take that control back. It's very important that we get control of our lives out of his hands and put it in the hands of someone who loves us and that we trust to act in our best interest. If you do that, you will get your happiness back because you won't be afraid anymore that an enemy is controlling you. Instead, you have someone you trust who is in control of your life, and he will teach you and direct you and lead your steps if you will only trust in him and obey his word when he teaches it to you. Follow it. Don't be just a hearer, be a doer of the word. It's not the hearers that please him, it's the doers. You have to obey his word. And if you obey his word, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It doesn't mean that the world won't retaliate. It will. And it'll try to dump all kinds of stuff on you. And God will permit that. But that's where your faith is tested because you know your life is not in the oppressor's hands anymore. It's in the hands of the God who created you and came here and died for you to prove that he loves you. And there is no greater demonstration of love in existence That I mean, it doesn't get any more amazing than for God to come here personally and lay his own life on the line to save you. Um, that's how you can get your happiness back. When you're not afraid anymore and when you're at peace in your heart, you know that the person that has control of your life is good and loves you and has your best interest in mind. The oppressor, he just wants to mop the floor with you. He just wants to play with you like a toy and make you miserable. Well, you don't have to let him do that. Jesus came and died for you. He's right there. All you have to do is get enough. Get enough of it. Take it away from him and give it to Jesus. And if Jesus has it, you're going to be just fine. And your peace and your happiness will return to you because you're not afraid anymore. You're not afraid of the AI devil. You're not afraid because Jesus has got your back. He will never, ever leave us or forsake us. He's good and he loves us. So everything's going to be fine as long as your life is in God's hands. But you have to purposely put your life in his hands. You have to say, Lord, I give you my life. I don't want the oppressor to rule over my life and play with me like a toy and mess with my life. You hand it over to God. You give that authority to God. He takes the reins of your life and everything will be okay. It doesn't mean that the oppressor won't get mad and try to retaliate and pour all kinds of things on you. But when he does, it's okay because he doesn't get to control you. You'd get to decide whose hands your life is going to be in. Now, right when you're under the oppressor, you don't get to decide. And because you're not even aware of it. But once you become aware that he's messing with your life, there's where the unhappiness comes in. You realize I'm being controlled and I don't like it. And your happiness level will drop like a rock. But if you give it to Jesus, he can be trusted to act in your best interest. You know he loves you because he died for you. That's proof. So if your happiness has gone somewhere else, give your life to Jesus and you'll get it back. You'll have purpose. You'll have protection. The oppressor can no longer just bombard your life with terrible things without God giving his permission for you to be tested. And if he does give his permission for you to be tested, he will, as long as you trust in him and obey his word, you will retain your peace. You'll retain your happy heart. And remember, a thankful heart is a happy heart. Okay. Being thankful to him that he's willing to rescue us. Being thankful to him that he loves us and cares about us. If you have thankfulness in your heart, you'll have a happy heart with no fear, and you know no matter what happens, you're okay, and that you're safe, and that he's got your back no matter what. And introduce Jesus to your family and friends, all those around you. Some of them won't wanna hear it because they're not ready yet. They're not being called and drawn to accept Jesus yet. But if you're really unhappy and realizing that you're being controlled against your will and that your life is being royally messed with, then there is something you can do about it and get your happy heart back. Being thankful to God will return your happiness and give you a happy heart. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions? Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Hi, everybody on Facebook. Let me see. Hi, Alana. Alana watches from Australia. I'm always so glad to see you, sister. Hi, Vonda. Oh, wonderful to see you. Vonda says, "Can we do Revelation since we last missed last Friday?" Yes, we sure can. Yes, we can. We'll do Revelation, okay? We'll get back into it just for you. Hi, Linda. You doing okay? I'm happy you're here too. Hi, Tina. Wonderful to see you. I saw your video. I'm so proud of you that you're speaking up for Jesus. Glory to God. I am very happy to have you here, sister. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Garrett. Garrett watches from New Zealand. We've got believers from all over the world that come and join our Way Happy Bible study. And I'm so glad that every single one of you are here. I'm so glad to see you, Kathy and Garrett and Tina and Robbie. Hi, Robbie from Chicago. Welcome. I have not seen your email yet. I didn't have it yet the last time I looked at my email, but I haven't looked at it yet today. Um, no, I have not. So I will though. And if and I won't do that on the show since you said it was personal. Okay, everybody doing all right? Hi, everybody on the Meet Me app. Welcome. Glad to see you. Hello, Robert. Hi, Just Bruce, Mark, Angel, Jeff, Eric. Glad that you're here. Hey, welcome to you guys on YouTube. Okay, I've got all of these chat rooms here in front of me. I think we're good to go. And because Vonda would like for us to do Revelation, that sounds fun to me. The Psalms is not as fun. So let's go to Revelation. Let's do it. And God does change our direction by people asking for certain things. And that sounds way more fun to me than doing the Psalms. And when we left off, we were at Revelation chapter 13. We're going to get in here and talk about the Antichrist and the false prophet. And I'll tell you exactly who they are because that's what I do. I'm a researcher. I've been studying the Bible all my life. That's what I did with my life, other than having a husband and 3 kids, and 7 grandchildren. I have studied the word. Um, I've loved God ever since I was a little kid, and, I know a few things, so let's get in it, okay? Let's get in it, and, you guys are welcome to ask questions, alright? You're welcome to ask questions at any point about the Bible, and even if it's off topic of what we're talking about, you're, more than welcome to ask questions. Let's get into Revelation chapter 13. My pages are falling apart on me again. You guys that have been with me for a long time, you've seen me go through, at least 2 Bibles. I think this is the 3rd. I may have to do a 4th at some point. I'm just in it so much that, my pages just, you know, fall to pieces on me. Revelation chapter 13, and we're gonna start at verse 1. "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Upon his horns, 10 crowns, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. What's the name of blasphemy? It is someone who thinks they are God. That's what the popes do. Now, I've looked at the past several popes and some of their writings. They believe that they are God on earth, kind of like the ancient Egyptians believed that Ra, their pharaoh, was God on earth. Okay. You'll find that the popes going all the way back to 1929, except one who he lasted only 33 days. They probably got rid of him if he was actually a person of God, mm, but he wouldn't have been one of the 8 antichrists, if you will, if he had known, but these are talking about popes. When it says that Antichrist has come, and yet there are many Antichrists, which is how we know that it's the last time. Let me get scripture for you here. First John 2:18, little children, it is the last time. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. That's how we know. Let's see. Let's see if I can make this work a little better for you guys on Meet Me. It's kind of down low there. All right. Now maybe that'll be more helpful for you. I better move it back a little bit since it's in the other camera. Okay. Little children, it is the last time. First John 2:18. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. We know since there's several of them, there's 8 of them. Now let's take a look at this first verse very carefully. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Now, the sands of the sea is talking about people, large numbers of people, having 7 heads and 10 horns. This beast has 7 heads, 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. The name of blasphemy is that they believe that they are God on earth, that not just a representative of God, but that they don't actually believe in God, these popes. They don't actually believe in God, but they believe that they are God on earth, okay? They don't even believe in God in heaven. They make themselves God, okay? Um, Now he has 7 heads and 10 horns. Now keep your spot right there, and let's go over to Revelation 17, and we're gonna start this at verse 9. Revelation 17:9. "And here is the mind which hath wisdom." We're gonna find out what the 7 heads and 10 horns are, okay? And identify the beast. "And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, The 7 mountains are Rome. The woman is the Vatican in verse 10. And there are 7 kings. Now, the popes were not kings of their own sovereign nation until 1929 when the Lateran Treaty was signed between the Vatican and Italy. And the Vatican became its own sovereign nation with its own king, which was the Pope. In other words, the Caesars rose again when that happened. Okay. So from 1929, when the Lateran Treaty was signed, all the way up to this current day, there have now been 8 popes who are also kings. Notice in verse 10, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. When John came forward in time to look at this scene and then to go back and write about it, the time he was looking at was during the 6th Pope king. That would be John Paul II. So there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, so 5 had come and gone. And one is, that's John Paul II, and the other is not yet come. Now that would be Benedict. He was the 7th Pope king. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Now this scripture is already fulfilled. The 7th Pope king, Benedict, he stayed only 7 years and then resigned. It's unheard of for a pope to resign. He's the first pope to resign in 600 years. But when he comes, he must continue a short space. He was only pope for 7 years. Look at this in verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, the one that dies from a head wound and is resurrected 3 days later, even he is the 8th. This is the Antichrist, the 8th pope who is also a king. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7. He's one of the pope kings, and goeth into perdition. That's Francis, the snake in a dress. Here he is. Don't you think that looks like him? It This is him. Stay Puffed, the destroyer, the 8th pope, who is also a king. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. That's all of these Western aligned nations are going to lift this pope up as world leader. Now, let's go back now to Revelation 13. So now let's look at that scripture again in 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, out of the sea of people. One man rises up above the others. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads. 7 heads are Rome, remember? And 10 horns. That's the 10 kings who are lifting him up as the world leader. And upon his horns, 10 crowns. These act remember, they act as kings. They're kings with the beast, and they give their power unto him for an hour. Upon his horns 10 crowns, and heads upon his heads, Rome, the name of blasphemy, because these Pope kings don't honor Jesus Christ. They say they do, but they're all lip service just to fool masses into following them. They'll mention Jesus here and there, but they deny his divinity. They deny the grace he purchased for us with his own blood, and they think that they are in the place of God. And, I mean, you can see how they may think that. You see hundreds of thousands of people showing up at the Vatican, St. Peter's Square, just waiting for him to show his face, like they're all groupies or something, you know? In verse 2, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard." Now the leopard is found in Daniel, the, um that it symbolizes the kingdom of Alexander the Great. Now, what was interesting about Alexander the Great that would make this leopard be mentioned is that he was able to conquer the entire known world in a very short period of time, and as so is this pope. He's doing the same thing. He's conquering the known world in a very short period of time, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. Now we have the Russian bear, right? The Russian bear, okay, let's go to Daniel and look at these beasts. And that will help you understand better. So let's go to Daniel in the Old Testament, right after Ezekiel. Go to Daniel. We're gonna go to Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Now, let's go through this here. Um, all right, in verse 26. Actually, okay, we'll start at 26. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, "Art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen and the interpretation thereof?" Now, just to fill you in here, the king Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had a dream, and in his dream, he couldn't it was very profound for him, and he wanted his his soothsayers and magicians to tell him what the dream was and also the interpretation. He had forgotten, you know how you'll dream something, it's really vivid to you, when you wake up, and then sometimes you can forget it. This dream was really important to him, but he couldn't remember the details to tell his magicians. So he says, "Art thou able to make known unto me the dream which I have seen, and the interpretation thereof?" Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, The secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers show unto the king. But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed. What should come to pass hereafter? And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. Everybody doing okay? But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. In verse 31 of Daniel chapter 2. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Till thou sawest till that a stone was cut out with hands, without hands. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet. Now, this stone that was cut out without hands, that's Jesus, okay? And it which smote the image upon his feet. That's when Jesus is going to come during the time of the kingdom of the feet and toes and hit the feet, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay and brake them to. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer fresh threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole. That's the Lord's millennial kingdom. When he's here. Okay. So the head of gold was the empire. Now, in all of these different sections of the statue, you have a different kingdom represented that would rule over that particular area of the world. And then the next section would rule after that, the next after that. So Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, was the head of gold. After him came the chest and arms of silver, 2 arms, Media and Persia, the Medes and the Persians. They ruled that exact landmass after Babylon. After the chest and arms of silver, you had the belly and thighs brass. The belly and thighs of brass symbolize Alexander the Great. He conquered that entire same land area plus some, and he did it in a very short period of time. Alexander is called the leopard, okay? The leopard corresponds with Alexander. So then you had the legs of iron. That's Rome. That's the Roman Empire that conquered that same land mass, same land area that Babylon had ruled, and then the Medo Persians, and then Alexander the Great, the Greeks, and then the Roman Empire was the legs of iron. The feet of iron and clay is the end time kingdom that has the strength of Rome, of the Roman Empire, but the 10 toes, which would be the 10 kings, and the feet, they're not solid iron. They're made of iron and miry clay. Well, what this is talking about, the feet and toes of iron and miry clay, the 10 toes are the 10 kings. Now it says that they don't cleave to one another. Now watch this. It says in verse 42 of Daniel 2, and as well, let's look at 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, revived Roman Empire, very great military strength. For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. They, these would be devils, demons, fallen angels. But see, in a digital world, all of them are AI, technology, artificial intelligence. So the iron mixed with the miry clay, it says, "And whereas thou saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay." Now, who is mingling themselves with the seed of men? The AI, the demons, devils, fallen angels, they're all AI, artificial intelligence. Satan is artificial intelligence. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. There is no Jesus in Satan, so there is no life in Satan. That means he's animated but not alive. That's artificial intelligence, technology. So this isn't aliens. This isn't alien. This These things are AI. They are servants of evil, of the devil, of Satan, who is the AI that administrates over the digital world. So when it says they mingle themselves with the seed of men, that's not fallen angels interbreeding with men like it's well, I mean, it is, but you gotta consider that these beings are AI, okay? So mingling themselves with the seed of men is transhumanism. This is where AI is inserted into the human body, and it's supposed to make these 10 kings better, smarter, all of that. It's mingling AI in with their human bodies. Now, given that, then we're going to go over to where it talks about let me find the scripture where it talks about Daniel chapter 7. Okay. Now let's look at the animals that are represented, and you'll see the leopard, and then we'll go when I, when we connect these animals that it's talking about to these different kingdoms, then we'll go back and interpret what we see in Revelation 13. Okay, so you can follow it. Daniel chapter 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. And he wrote the dream and told the son the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. They're all different from each other. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. This one would be associated with Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. He was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. This is referring to when Nebuchadnezzar was turned into a beast for 7 years. He wandered around like an animal, and he had claws, and he even had some feathers and things like that come up on him. He was an animal for 7 years. So, he was the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. After the 7 years, he God restored him and gave his mind back to him to where he could stand up as a man. And it was lifted up from the earth and made a stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to him. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. Between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. Now we call it the Russian bear, but this okay. Ukraine is where Russia's fighting right now, right? That used to be part of the old Soviet Union. But then you have the Baltics. There's 3, okay? As Russia moves into Ukraine, this bear is going to look up 3 countries and absorb them. Okay? It raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. This one is likened unto the Media Persia kingdom because they conquered they conquered the entire landmass, Media Persia did after Babylon. So, Russia is kind of doing the same thing here. You have the bear. After this I beheld and lo, another, like a leopard. Remember the leopard was Alexander the Great. This leopard was young, strong, and conquered the entire known world back there in record time. He was only 33 when he died, kinda like Jesus. So after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Now, what do we have? We have 4 wings and we have 4 heads. What happened is when Alexander the Great died, his kingdom was so vast, there was nobody like him that could step into his shoes and rule over the whole thing like he could. So that his kingdom, Alexander the Great's kingdom, was broken up into 4 parts. Now, the part that was given to Seleucus then became the Roman Empire, okay? So, Alexander the Great's kingdom was larger than the landmass we're talking about that's being referred to. The one-fourth of it was this landmass, okay? So, you have 4 wings and 4 heads. His kingdom, Alexander the Great's kingdom, was broken up into 4 pieces. Part that went to Seleucus, his general, then became the Roman Empire. After this, I saw in the night vision, verse 7 and 7, 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. This is the Roman. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stick the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So watch this. You have this 4th beast. It's just called a beast, right? Dreadful and terrible, very strong and dreadful. The people, that's how you're gonna feel as he takes power. Dreadful and terrible because you know that bad things are coming. That's this 8th pope who's also a king. He's the new Caesar, and he's going to rule over, all of the Western world. So behold a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. This is the beast that occupies the pope's body after he's resurrected. So that's what this beast is. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold a 4th beast. And that would be, when the pope dies, he's dead for 3 days, and then Apollyon comes out of the bottomless pit, the wicked spirit, the counter to our Holy Spirit, his opposite. Behold a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. Um, it has and a ridiculously strong military through all of its little New World Order countries like America, Canada, UK, Australia, and you get the idea. It devoured and break in pieces. Now, it says, "And stamped the residue with the feet of it." What is it that this is the New World Order. The New World Order went into what did they do? They started toppling nations. See, that was a 9/11 was a false flag, right? They knew, Bush knew it was gonna happen before it did. You could tell by the look on his face when they told him. He knew. It had great iron teeth. This is a very strong military. Plus, it's also the Jesuit order, which is the military arm of the Catholic Church. And it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. You're either going to align with him or he's gonna stomp you into the ground, and I'll be getting stomped into the ground, thank you. I will never join him. And it was diverse, it was different from all the beasts that were before it. This one conquers through peace and diplomacy, lies and deception, and it had 10 horns. These are the 10 kings that lift the Pope, Antichrist, up as world leader. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little 8th Pope king, okay, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Well, this could also be talking about the Russian bear, couldn't it? Now it's you're looking at the Antichrist, but keep in mind that parts of Russia were parts of the old Roman Empire. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. But these animals, these you have the lion with eagle's wings, that was Nebuchadnezzar. Then you had the second one like to a bear. Now that's Media Persia, where you've got Iran, Turkey, okay? And they are aligned with the Russian bear, aren't they? And it raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. It raised itself up on one side, just the west side. It's not fighting China on the east or to the south or India. It's fighting to the west, the New World Order, right? So you have the first beast was Nebuchadnezzar, but you also the lion is actually one of the symbols of the New World Order as well, and is a common symbol among the nations like the UK and, uh, the Commonwealth, alright, and Russia, Ukraine, or Iran, Turkey, Ukraine. 3 ribs in the mouth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. You're gonna have Turkey, Iran, and Russia in an alliance that is gonna come against Israel. I saw something today that totally just blew my mind. A raven. This was in Israel. You had a flagpole that had the Israeli flag flying on it. Okay. In one of their government buildings, a black bird, a raven, came and sat on top of that flagpole and picked at the fasteners to the flag until it came loose and the flag of Israel fell from the flagpole. I just saw that today. How weird is that? I think I put it on my Facebook wall. And you can see it on video. This bird comes, black bird, like a raven, comes and lands on the flagpole top, the ball part on the top, lands there and starts picking away with its beak at the fasteners to the Jewish flag, the flag of Israel. And I watched on video as the flag came apart from the flagpole and fell to the ground. The raven did that. Remember the one when the Pope was given his crown as the first seal opened in March 2013? It's been 10 years that he's been on the throne now. And when he leaned out the window and he released the doves, and ravens actually came out of the sky and attacked those doves and killed them in midair, and they fell to the ground. See, the dove is supposed to be a symbol for peace. Well, this Pope's reign will not be peaceful. There's a terrible, terrible war coming where Russia, Iran, Turkey, and all of the Muslims who hate Israel and all their little bands like Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, Al-Aqsa Brigades, Al-Qaeda, um, he Hamas, all of these are gonna be with Russia, Iran, and Turkey when they come down to attack Israel from the north. That's the next event we're looking for, and I really think that there is a very strong possibility that this invasion of Israel, which must occur on the Jewish feast day of Purim to be verifiable, I think it will probably happen at Purim in 2024. We've watched the last couple of years at Purim, and it hasn't happened, but I think it will in 2024 because right now you have Biden, the worst president of the United States that has ever held the office. That includes Jimmy Carter. That includes Barack Obama. I mean, you wouldn't have thought that that any president could ever be, as bad as those 2. But this one just gives a whole new definition to the term horrible leader. Terrible, awful. I mean, ridiculously incompetent to where even his own party is like, we don't want him running again." What I'm trying to tell you is that Trump is so popular in this country among the American people, there's no way he's not going to get back in there in the elections in 2024, and the opposition knows it. They know. They cannot let him get back in there and stop World War III because he would. He could stop it in a day. He's even said he could stop it within 24 hours. And I believe he could because he had good relationships with all of these countries. And the reason this war is about to blow up in the world's face is because he's not in the office now. You've got a total incompetence at the helm of our nation. So, I think remember when they were saying that they would before 2016, they were saying the left was saying they would rather see the world blow up into a nuclear war rather than have Trump as president. They meant it. And that's why I think they will have no choice but to trigger this invasion at Purim in 2024 before Trump can get back in there at the election in November 2024. See, but even if he was elected, he couldn't officially take over until January. So, that's why I think this coming Purim is gonna be our best shot at, seeing this war blow up into something that's gonna be a complete nightmare. Because if Trump got back in there, if it waited until, January 2025, Trump could stop it. They have to make sure that he can't stop it. And the invasion of Israel can only happen at Purim. See, the last Purim, there's only one more Purim, the Jewish holiday. There's only one more of those before Trump will take power again. I think they will pull the trigger on World War III with the invasion of Israel in March 2024 before the elections in November. They have to, or else Trump would stop it. He would stop the war if he was in there, and they can't let him stop the war. They need the war. They planned this war forever. I mean, this war has been in the planning for centuries, literally. And so they're gonna pull the trigger on this before Trump can get back in there and stop it. That's why I think the chances are very high that we're looking at the invasion of Israel from the north, Purim in 2024. Let me tell you exactly when that is. I think it's like the 25th and 26th. When is in 2024? It would be Saturday, it starts the evening of Saturday, March 23rd, and goes through the evening of Sunday, March 24th. Now, and the evening of Saturday, March 23rd, 2024, we may have our situation come to, the prophecies come to pass from Isaiah 17 at eventide trouble, and before morning he is not. That would be Damascus or Assad. Um, Israel would be invaded on that Saturday evening, eventide, March 23rd, 2024. If this is when the the war from the prophecy takes place. I think that the chances of that being the time when Israel is invaded in 2024 is very high, because if they don't that's the only day that Israel can be invaded from the north out of the whole year is at Purim. The event has to correspond with a Jewish feast day that commemorates a past event of similar nature. The past event would be Purim, and Haman in the book of Esther attempted to destroy the Jewish people. Instead, he was hanged on the gallows that he built for Mordecai the Jew, Esther's uncle, Queen Esther's uncle. So, as we've got these things, okay? So you have the first like a lion, that would symbolize the Western nations that are like that symbolizes the New World Order. Then the second, you have a bear. You got the Russian bear fighting against the lion, the New World Order. That's what we have happening right now. Then you have this is the Pope as he's lifted up after the war above all the other world leaders and conquers the whole world as they lift him up. The whole world will look to him. So the leopard is indicative of as the 10 kings are lifting up the Pope, okay? And then you have this beast here, and that would be the one that comes out of the 4th beast. I think that is Apollyon that comes out of the bottomless pit. Um, very possible, but we'll get more details on that as we go. Let's go back to Revelation 13. Uh, is everybody doing okay? Alright, it's 8:12. We're gonna go ahead and take about 5-minute break and, go ahead and run, something to drink, get your snack, enjoy. Make sure you have your Bible, and then let's let's pick this back up again here in about 5 minutes and continue with our study, and we'll go right back into Revelation 13, okay? Okay, are you guys ready to get back into this? I was praying and I just saw something new. Very cool. I got to share it with you. I got to show you. I was asking God because, see, as I was reading about these animals, the lion, the bear, the leopard, and then the other beast who was terrible and ferocious, he showed me something new. I had always thought that those corresponded with that those were the same as the nations on the statue, but they're not. He just showed me. You're very cool, my king. Thank you. The lion, the Western nations, New World Order nations, right? The Russian bear. Look at what's happening in the world right now, and you'll see it, and you'll see it. He just kind of showed it to me all of a sudden. It's so cool how he does that. The lion is all these Western nations. The bear is Russia. The three nations, Crimea, Iran, Turkey. Okay. Those, Russia's got those. All right. In their mouth. They're controlling them. The leopard is the Muslims. They have fanned out and conquered. They are residing in exactly the same areas that Alexander the Great took over. Okay. The Muslims, they've spread out everywhere. And then you have that final beast. That is that beast most terrible. That is Apollyon entering the body of the Pope, resurrecting him, and then he's the world undisputed world leader after that. That's what we're seeing in the world right now. That's Daniel 7. Let me look at that again. 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another, different than each. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Lion with the eagle's wings can travel all over. See, we come from the military west comes from fighter planes, right? I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. Wings being plucked, the United States is not directly involved in this right now, okay? Our president, the worst president in American history, has taken our tax dollars and declared war on Russia in Ukraine without the approval of our Congress and without the approval of the American people. This is like his private war. I think that's why he may be the second war. You know, the Antichrist, Pope Francis, he is the first, uh, the rider of the white horse, who's causing all of this mess in the world, but then he rises up like he had nothing to do with it and takes control, rides in like a hero to save the day, although he's not going to be our hero. The lion, then you have another beast, and it says, "It was lifted up from the earth," this lion, look at verse 4, Daniel 7 2 Daniel 7, verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. This lion can fly all the way over there from over here, right? I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. Now, does that mean that states could be destroyed or hit? Hope not. I don't think so, but it's possible that we could get I don't know on that. But it says that the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man. This does correspond to Nebuchadnezzar too, but it's more than that. It's more than that. And a man's heart was given to it. In verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear. That's Russia. And it raised itself up on one side, on the west. It's fighting on the west, Ukraine, not on the east, not the north, the south, only on the west. It raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. Crimea, Iran, Turkey. Between the teeth of it. See, Russia, Iran, and Turkey they're all in this together, and Russia owns Crimea right now. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. So Russia, Crimea, who Russia holds, and they took Crimea's naval fleet, so they have dominance of the Black Sea that goes all the way down to Turkey. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. You've got Muslims who are joining with Russia and Turkey and Iran. See, Iran isn't Arabs. Iran is Persians. That's different, but they're still Muslim. It raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. Crimea, Turkey, Iran. Between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. That's when they come down against Israel too. Now, Ukraine is part of the old Soviet Union. That's why Putin's fighting for it. But then it says, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. You've got Muslims that are occupying the whole area from Germany. They're all over Europe. They're all over the United States. What happened is you had the United States and the allies went in there into the Middle East and started deposing all of these leaders. Hosni Mubarak in Egypt first, Saddam Hussein in Iraq, Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. So they're just everywhere now over there, right? Then after that, there's a fourth beast in verse 7, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. This would be Apollyon after he comes out of the bottomless pit, enters the body of the Pope, and then after that, he's the devil in a human body. He's a devil in a human body, and he has power. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceeding. It had great iron teeth. Rome, see. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. It was different. This one's different. This one is a devil in a human body and not just a man like the others. And it had 10 horns. That is the 10 kings are the 10. We know that already. So this is gonna get real interesting. Thank you, Lord. Please teach us more. Teach us, please. Okay, now let's get back over to Revelation chapter 13. Everybody doing all right? Let me see. Uh, let me see if there's any. Okay, we have a few questions here. Uh, Robbie says, pray for Chicago. It's a Sodom and Gomorrah right now. A wreckage. Bobby, I know. Robbie, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's bad there, isn't it? Okay. I'll check that email, Garrett. Um, okay, let me take this one. Tina says, "I'm not gonna name names, but an online Facebook friend is cheating on her husband by having an online affair with this guy who lives in another country to her. I tried to send her a private message here on Facebook Messenger to gentle tell her that Jesus said we must remain faithful to our spouse while we're still married to them. She's not seen my message yet, though. Is there anything more I can do to warn her about this, but in a loving and gentle way?" Well, if you can erase it, that's what I would recommend. Erase it because you don't have authority, sister, to you don't have authority to be able to talk to her about it. Somebody with authority in her life will have to be the one to do that, and it may not be God's will for her to figure it out before she gets herself in trouble. But if my advice to you would be to erase it, remove it, um, because she will not respond like you hope, okay? And she might even lash out at you and hurt your feelings and tell you to mind your own business. And I'd rather not see that happen to you. Unfortunately, you just don't have the authority to be able to confront her about it. So, you have to have authority because if you don't now if she asked you what you think, that would give you authority. If she's asked for your advice, then you have authority to answer. But if she hasn't asked for your input, I would totally erase it and wipe it out and, not concern myself with that situation. You just don't have authority. If it's just a Facebook friend, you have no authority to be able to mention it to her, and she'll probably be angry, okay? That would be my advice to you. Um, I love your videos, sweetie. Tina, I was really happy to see that you're testifying. Um, okay, Tina posted her video that she made in the chat room in case anybody wants to watch. Alana says, "Revelation 17:13, these have one mind. AI? Question mark. These kings be assassinated or, I mean, assimilated with any chips, Neuralink, and Elon." There's some kind it's men combined with technology. They have tech. Yeah, it they are when it says they have one mind, they're all thinking alike, okay? Um, I don't think they're assimilated because at a certain point, the 10 kings turn on the Vatican and destroy it. It may be that they're assimilated by the Antichrist and that the Antichrist wants the Vatican destroyed. He wants to tear down the church, so it's possible. But, it's possible. Here it says, "Is it true Jesus between the years of 12 and 30 traveled to Egypt, India, and even the British Isles? There were missing years of his life unrecorded." No, it's not true because mm, yes, those years are missing, but we know that he was in Egypt. He was about 2 years old. He went to Egypt and was called back before he was 12, okay? Um, there's no that he went to India or back to Egypt, or remember there was no method of transportation. He would have had to walk, what, 1,000 miles that way? I mean, it's just not practical for him to go places that his parents didn't go. He would have had to be wherever his parents were from the age of 12, and he was still residing with his mother even when he started his ministry at age 30. So I think what he did is he communed with God and he stayed with his parents and he learned how to be a carpenter and he communed with God and learned who he was and, um, from the prophecies, knew the scriptures very well. So those were probably study years, but I don't think that he traveled. Um, he sent disciples out. There were 70 of them. He sent them 2 by 2 out, and they covered ground, and he didn't go with them. There's no evidence to suggest that he did. Um, oh, are you having trouble with the feed, Alana? Sorry. Linda says, "The verse about God sending a raven to a far country applies." Was in Israel. So I don't know that it came from a far country. The raven that took the flag down off the flagpole. I thought that was amazing. It is significant when that something like that happens. Um, it it pecked at the fastener between the flag and the flag until it broke it and the flag fell to the ground. And I saw it do it on video. It flies up, the Israeli flag is flying, this raven, this dark bird comes and sits up there and starts pecking at the top of the flag. It breaks the fastener, and the Israeli flag falls from the flagpole. Israel is going to be victorious, okay? Israel, they're gonna sustain some damage, but they're not gonna be wiped out. That's trippy, though. Very, very trippy. Um, The countries that are represented by the lion would be the Western aligned nations, like all the Commonwealth well, but like France, the USA, Canada, it would include Australia, in with the lion, members of the Commonwealth talking about, I think. Mm. Hey, Sandra, sister. Glad you're here, Robbie. Alana said, "What happened to Joseph? Did he die when Jesus was young?" He's not mentioned in his years of ministry, just his mother. Joseph was not there. He was there when Jesus was with. We know that. But Jesus started his ministry, his father was his biological father was God. His adopted father, was not there. He had brothers, had sisters, and his mother. You know what really has kinda twisted my brain? Jesus had several siblings, at least 5. So why did he have to put his mother in the care of John, the disciple? Well, John there is, that a lot of these disciples were related to each other, and some of them were also related to Jesus's family. It's been suggested that John, may have been a cousin of Jesus. But it has made me wonder, well, if Jesus had all these siblings, why are they not taking care of their mother? Um, I don't have an answer for that question, but the care of so it's a good question about, we don't have the information on what happened to him between 12 and 30 when he started his ministry. But there's no reason to believe that he traveled anywhere. He sent disciples out the borders of Israel. Jesus never went to Rome. Uh, he stayed right in that area to preach, and then he sent Paul and Peter, and Barnabas, Silas, sent all of them out there. There's no record of him ever being there. Egypt, I don't know, but, um, sure he didn't walk 1,000 miles to the British Isles. I'm pretty sure of that. Um, Lana says there's another video of an animal destroying the Israeli flag. Was around the same time the Raven ones saw them about a month ago. Really? What a trip. Animal? What kind of an animal was it that destroyed the Israeli flag? All I saw was a bird. Saw the raven. You saw it about a month ago? I didn't realize it had been that much, since that happened. I just saw it actually. So I don't know. Uh, okay. Hi to you guys that are here on the Meet Me app. You guys doing okay? Uh, let's see. Hello, Pablo. Um, Asmay one. Hello, got love too. Hello, John. Raphael, Robert, Sarah. Oh, you're back, Sarah. Glad that you're back. You still think Jesus isn't real? I'm curious. Can you explain as to why you would want to waste your time listening to Bible study? If you don't believe that Jesus is real? Just curious. Hello, Johnny. Cool to see you again. How are you? Scott, Jarvis, hello. Brett. Hi, Brett. Uh, fine, thank you. You're doing well too. John, uh, Boomer, God bless Oklahoma. That's where I live. And speaking of Oklahoma, a lot of people get offended by my shirt. It has a, headdress on it. But you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I live in Oklahoma. I'm part Native American, and I like it. So, if anybody doesn't like it and they say, "Oh, that's not politically correct," yeah, it is. I don't care because I'm Native American. I wear it, all right? Frankly, I don't care who wears it, even if they're not Native American. I live in Indian Territory, okay? This is where I'm from. I have the Native American Choctaw blood, and so I'll wear it. I don't care who doesn't like it. Boomer Sooner, uh, thank you for the favorite, uh, dot favored it says it favorited me, so that's wonderful. Thank you. Hi, Jake. Hello, Bill, 1522. He says, "F Joe Biden." Agree. We all I think we all can, agree with that. Let's go, Brandon. Hello, 750L. Hi, hey, Dusty. Hello, Ron. Hello, Slip. Ron. I don't other questions. Hi, Stephanie. Cool to see you. Hi, Lisa. Is it possible the 10 kings are 10 well, you can't put a crown on a corporation. These are kings that are not kings yet. Now, I think that it's possible that Charles is one of them. The new King Charles III. I think he's probably one of them. But I don't think they can be corporations. They have to be leaders of nations that are aligned with the Antichrist. Hi, Charmaine. Hello, John. You guys doing all right? Okay, I don't see any oh, thank you. Oh, you can't remember the animal? I was just curious because animals and whatever kind they are, it means like this just like with the raven, the raven attacked the dove or seal. See, the Pope released these doves, it's a symbol of peace, but the ravens came and attacked the doves and killed them in midair before they could even get out of his hands hardly. I mean, it happened very quickly, and that's a sign, that there would be no peace. This man of sin, there will be no peace with him. Uh, oh, thank you. Um, Linda said she heard a YouTuber, Biden Potato Head. I don't know, that's probably an insult to Mr. Potato Head. Yes. Ravens are carnivores and predators, and that was the one that took down the Israeli flag that, that I saw. I was watching it just going, "Wow." Because when that happens, that's a sign, okay? Maybe it's making the new world order see, the new world order. Well, let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. We have a letter from Albert Pike to Mazzini from 1871. 1870. Um, okay. Now, this is very interesting in that the Albert Pike is one of the main guys who was designing the New World Order. And all of this traces back to Freemasonry, which is wicked, but they have, um okay, let me just run this by you real quick. The Illuminati planned for 3 world wars, August 15th, 1871. The following is a letter that speculation claimed that Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871 regarding a conspiracy involving 3 world wars that were planned as an attempt to take over the world. The Pike letter to Giuseppe Mazzini was on display in the British Museum Library in London until 1977. This letter has been claimed by many internet sites who reside in the British Library in London, denies the letter exists. Now they totally deny it even exists. Giuseppe Mazzini was an Italian revolutionary leader of the mid 1800s, as well as the director of the Illuminati. Albert Pike, he's a historical Masonic figure, was a 33rd degree Freemason, occultist, Grand Master, and creator of the Southern jurisdiction of the Masonic Scottish Rite Order. Now, interestingly, um, it's okay. The Jesuit order, who is the military arm of the Catholic Church, right? The Jesuit order was founded by Ignatius Loyola. One of the Jesuits, Adam Weishaupt, founded the Illuminati. So, see, the Jesuits were the originals, and then a Jesuit founded the Illuminati. So the Jesuits are the really bad guys. They founded the Illuminati, the Italian mob. They founded all of these horrible organizations that hurt people and hurt economies and hurt nations. It all goes back to the Jesuits. And the Freemasons are also a part of that, okay? Now notice this. This is incredibly accurate, having been written in 1871. Now listen to what he says about the First World War. Now this was keep in mind, this was written in 1871, a full 70 years before Israel was born as a nation, okay? So, Israel was not even born as a nation when this letter was written. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and making that country a fortress of atheistic communism, and that's what they've done. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati, divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati. So the um there what is their name? Romanov. The czars were the Romanovs. That was the Romanov family and their Anastasia, that story. Okay. Those who it's the legend says Rasputin was their murderer, right? Well, there which was an evil, dark force. So what they did is Rasputin, the character, whatever his name was one of the Jesuits, and it says they over war must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia. So they got real close to this czar and his family, probably a regular within his household, in order to murder them and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religion. Now, that's exactly what happened during the First World War. Here's what they say would happen during the Second World War. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. The political Zionists, those are your billionaire globalists who founded the state of Israel through the Balfour Declaration. Okay? This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. 1871, 70 years before Israel was birthed as a nation. It's incredible, I know. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance, which would then be restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. They need it. Now listen to what he says about the Third World War. The first two have happened exactly like they said. The Third World War. This sounds just like our time. You'll be amazed. Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati, caused again by the Illuminati, who is a branch of the Jesuits, who the Jesuits work for the Pope. This Pope is also a Jesuit, which makes him different than the other popes before. Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, that's the billionaire globalists who are from the tribe of Dan, they're disinherited, um, mutually destroy each other. So they have planned for the Arabs and the Jews, or the Muslims and the Jews, to destroy each other. That's their but see, it's not going to happen that way because God is going to intervene. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral spiritual and economical exhaustion. You know, how everybody for many years was putting all kinds of billions and billions and billions of dollars into that Palestinian bucket that has the big hole in the bottom. They bought weapons with every dime. They did not put a single dime toward improving conditions in Gaza or in the West Bank for the people. They let them starve, they let them live in poverty, but they did not get I mean, they had billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars given to them to help the Palestinian people, but not a single, Palestinian saw. They paid it to terrorist families who did suicide missions. They also bought weapons, weapons, weapons. All right? So their plan is that the Arabs and the Jews destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, trying to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. Poured so much money, so much help, so much everything into them, and it never changes their situation. We shall unleash the nihilists and now a nihilist believes that life has no at all, no meaning, no hope, no so it says we, which would be the Masons, New World Order, the Jesuits, the Illuminati, we shall unleash the nihilists and we shall provoke purposely a formidable social cataclysm. Well, we see it in the world today, don't which in all its horror will show clearly to the nation the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody. They are causing purposely a provoking a formidable social cataclysm, which which we see in the world right now. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization. So at some point, the Christians rise up and deal with them. Right? But watch then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, the church is so wicked, whose deistic spirits, that's the children of God on the inside of us, will from that moment be without compass or direction. When he pulls down the church, in the world don't know what to do then. They don't know how to love Jesus, follow Jesus without the church. They don't you know why the problem is? Their devotion is to the church instead of Christ. So then when the church comes crashing down, they're all like, "What do we do now? What do we believe in now?" Says, disillusioned with Christianity, whose diseased spirit, that's the spirit, the child of God within, will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. You can girl now. That's fine, you know. Brought finally out into this manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated. So you're going to have a situation where church comes crashing down, church in the world comes crashing down. And then you've got this marshmallow in a dress, Pope Francis, who claims he is God on earth and that he's Israel's Messiah. Oh, so he's the Antichrist. This eighth Pope, who's also a king, Francis, the snake, he's the son of perdition. He's the Antichrist. So who is the false prophet? A lot of people have believed Pope is the false prophet. They're all prophets are Jewish. No real prophets today. Only a false prophet. And I'll tell you exactly who he is. His name is Baruch Kahane, Rabbi Baruch Kahane. He is the leader for the high priest of the Israeli Sanhedrin position. The Jews, and you think, well, why would the Jews ever think that the Pope is their Messiah? Sounds unlikely, doesn't it? Because they are commanded to listen and obey their high priest when they have one. The law commands that of them. So if their high priest of the Sanhedrin says the Pope is their wrongful Messiah, Jewish people will believe it because he says so. He is the first to hold the position of high priest since 66 AD. The last person to hold the position was Caiaphas, one that sent Jesus to the Romans for crucifixion. And this guy is the next one after Caiaphas. There hasn't been another one since. He's the one. Rabbi Baruch Kahane. See, the term Baruch is in that's why a lot of people thought Obama was the Antichrist because it says Baruch and they interpreted that as Barak. Mhm. Mhm. See that scripture for you real quick. Ooh. Okay, we have it's got 24 verses with the term Baruch in it. Uh, there's Baruch, the son of Neriah, but it looks like he did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading in the book the words of the Lord in the Lord's house. Um, then read Baruch in the book of the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord. But anyway, there's several references to Baruch in excuse me, Nehemiah, Jeremiah, just those 2 books. Jeremiah 43:3, Baruch, the son of Neriah, settleth thee on against us, for to deliver us into the hand of the Chaldeans, that they might put us to death and carry us away captives into Babylon. Jeremiah, um, it says Jeremiah 36:32, then took Jeremiah another roll and gave it to Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the book which Jehoiakim, king of Judah, had burned in the fire, and there were added besides unto them many like words. So you have a situation where um I don't see anything that actually says that he's but it that he would be the end time false prophet, but he was a scribe. He was a scribe. So, um, but I do believe that it is Rabbi Baruch Kahane, that he is the false prophet. Okay. Um, you can find your hurling. That's what people have to do. That's um, hey, Penny. So glad to see you. Um, let me see. Robbie says, I have an Indian dress as my avatar on my YouTube channel, Gray Realities. Well, we'll have to check out your channel. We're glad that you're here. Hi, Penny. I'm so glad to see you. Um, she says, hi, y'all. Cool. Thursday Bible study. It's Wednesday. I know you figured that out, didn't you? Vonda says, "Mine is a puppet. I wonder who's in the strings." It might be Obama. It might could be. You know, he's really good at this, but he's, not as smart as the Antichrist. I hate to even say that, Stay Puft Smart. Um, Benny says, "Obama, Obama." Robbie says, "The far left George Soros is in control." Well, he is George Soros is actually Jewish. He's one the disinherited tribe of Dan. See, they say they are Jews, but are not. They are of the synagogue of their globalist billionaires are all Jews. They are from disinherited Jewish tribe of Dan. The reason they created the state of Israel, Palestine, or declaration was because they wanted all of these Jews who were scattered in 70 AD, diaspora by God, scattered in the they created the state of Israel to lure back in all of these Jews that were hidden by God. You know why they wanna bring them back into Israel? So they all in one wipe 'em out. These billionaire globalists, they created the state of Israel for that purpose. Lure back in all the legitimate tribes. You've got 12 legitimate tribes. They wanted to lure back in all of the legitimate tribes, and so they would leave the places that God had hid them in and come back to Israel because they wanted all the Jews in one place so they can wipe them all out. Yeah, this is Jews Of the disinherited tribe of Dan, they usually kick me off YouTube for talking about this, that might be ahead. Um, they they wanted to create the state of Israel, lure all the legitimate 12 tribes back in there so they could wipe them all out. Because see, as long as there are any legitimate Jew, the disinherited tribe cannot inherit, okay? Now, if they're able to talk to and see, they won't do it themselves. They won't wipe them out themselves. They wanna sucker the Muslims and the Russians into doing it for them. They wanna sucker Russia, Iran, and Turkey to wipe out the legitimate tribes for them. Why? Because a curse comes on anyone who comes against Israel. They know that. They don't want the curse on them. They're cursed anyway. Those who bless thee, I will bless. Those who curse thee, I will curse. Okay? They can't go in there and wipe out the legitimate tribes themselves. They want they believe Arabs are suckers who they can lie to, inflame them up against the Jews, say, "Oh, well, they're on your land. You go in there and wipe them out." Sneaky sucker. They do that, and they want the whole world to wipe out the legitimate tribes because if they were successful at doing that, then only tribe of Jews left is the illegitimate tribe of Dan, which is the globalist billionaires like Soros, the banking families like the Rothschilds, the Mayers, Bowers, Oppenheimers, Warburgs, all of these Jewish families from the tribe of Dan that have intermarried into royalty. Royalty accepted them because of all their money, and they've intermarried into all these royal families in Europe, and they're all billionaires. Um, that's why they created the state of Israel. The bad Jews created the state of Israel, the disinherited tribe of Dan, to lure all the legitimate tribes in so they could con the Arabs and Muslims into wiping the Jews out. And if they're successful at getting rid of all the legitimate heirs, then they would legally rule the earth as the only tribe left. So they would legally be able to rule the earth. Sneaky suckers, man. They're they're all just um it's it's all about it's all about conning the Arabs twofold, really. They want the Arabs and the Jews to destroy each other. Firstly, because they need to get rid of all the legitimate Jews in order for the illegitimate ones to rule the world. And secondly, because they want the Arabs destroyed. They know the Jews will destroy the Arabs and the Arabs will destroy the Jews. That's their plan. Because then if both die, then they from the West can just march in there, those global billionaires can just march right in there and take over all of the oil and gas and natural resources that the Arabs are all sitting on, and the Jews are sitting on too. It's always about money. It's always about money. They want I mean, Israel's like a ripe plum that everybody wants to pick because they've got oil and gas and diamonds and food and every mineral you can imagine. Israel is sitting on top of the most wealthiest piece of ground on the entire earth, and so everybody wants to take it. Everybody wants to take it. And the West is the real enemy of Israel. The Muslims are not really, they've been provoked into being an enemy of Israel because the Arabs have never been able to get along with each other for 5 minutes. Uh, and that's purposeful too, because if they could actually collaborate, they could come against Israel, right? But they are always against each other. The Arabs have a horrible time cooperating with each other. They can't get along with each other well enough to cooperate against an enemy. So, uh, I think it's gonna be real interesting when we see Prom 2024 roll around, because if this is what if what happens, what I think will happen is that Russia, Iran, and Turkey will move down over Israel's northern border. They'll come and fly over the nation, especially over the West Bank, with fighter planes, and they will be um, Israel's electrical grid probably goes down and isn't something that they can bring back up quickly because they burn weapons for 7 years rather than going into the forests and taking trees. So they burn weapons for 7 years. Well, uh, if the war started after the 7-year tribulation period, then they couldn't burn weapons for 7 years, could they? I think they burn weapons, um, ma after this war, start burning weapons for 7 years. And also, there's so many dead bodies that the whole entire able-bodied population of Israel is burying bodies for 7 months, burying bodies for 7 months, okay? Um, where is our okay, I guess we're still on. Just have to refresh here. What? Are we still live on Facebook? Are we still live, guys? Huh. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, you guys are over here. Okay. Um, Hi, David. It's cool to see you. Um, David says Jacob Rothschild doesn't care about who's in charge. He owns all banks. That's their attitude. Yeah, wicked, wicked people. What he doesn't realize is when he breathes his last and stroke and all that mountain gold will not go with him. I mean, he doesn't think that. He doesn't even believe in God. Um, Kathy, it's cool to see you. I'm saying, is she a Christian? Who is she? Kinda moved past that in my brain, I'm sorry. David says, "Lisa, you're on fire tonight." I do tend to get on my soapbox, don't I? Sorry. Here it says, "Clearly the eye." Yes, it's the Illuminati, all-seeing eye people, yeah. Group is the biggest threat to humanity. They want to kill off more than half the world's population. Yes, they do. Um found the heart emoji. Um, David says, "Hey, Lisa, can you show me where in the scripture it says the tribe of Dan was disinherited? That's interesting." Did somebody else show it to you? I don't wanna um, Hi, Anne Marie. So glad to see you, sister. Okay. Um, let me give you some scripture about the tribe of Dan. Sneaky suckers. Okay. Um, Now Dan was one of the sons of Bela. He was one of Jacob's sons by Rachel's handmaid. Now this says in Genesis 49:17, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, snake that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall back. So he's talking about how uh, the nature of Dan is. See, you had one disciple out of 12 that was chosen to represent evil. And then you have one tribe out of 12 that was chosen to represent evil, which is Dan. Okay. Um, this would be the Genesis 49:17. And I'm looking down through here. To look through these. I don't remember. I think I've seen it before, but I don't remember exactly what his crime was. It's his he's chosen, it you had to have 1 tribe out of 12 that represented evil, just like you had 1 disciple out of 12, uh, and then God gave that tribe, that 12th tribe, to Manasseh, who was the first son of Joseph, and then Joseph's son Ephraim carried on the line of Joseph when Manasseh got his own tribe. Okay. So now Manasseh is one of 12 tribes, even though Manasseh was Joseph's first son, uh, and Dan was out. Um, Now in Joshua, it talks about the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Dan according to their family in Joshua 19:48. Judges 134, the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountain, for they would not suffer them to come down to the valley. Um, Gilead abode, let's Judges 5:17, Gilead abode beyond Jordan, and why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the seashore and abode in his breaches. Um, I'll have to look this up. I don't wanna make you wait on me, um, while I review these scriptures. I used to remember but I'd have to look at all these scriptures in their context. Mm, we've got, um now in Amos 8:14, they that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, "Thy God, O Dan, liveth, and the manner of Beersheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise up again." So, um, that's Amos. But see, we've got references to Dan in, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, First Samuel, Second Samuel, First Kings, Second Kings, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Amos. So I'll have to at some point no, Dan is not Daniel. Daniel, like the book of Daniel, is a whole different thing. This Dan is one of the tribes. See, this was Dan who was the son of Jacob. Jacob had the 12 sons that became the 12 tribes. Well, Dan was one of Rachel's handmaid, Bilhah, that was her son, okay? So, he's not one of the he's a child of Jacob, but not of Jacob and Rachel, which makes a difference, okay? Um, anyway. Oh, it's already 9:30. You're not tired or hungry? I am. I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten, so I'm gonna yeah, Dan went cray cray. No, now that was, Linda says Dan slept with his father's concubine. That was Reuben. Um, I'll have to figure it out, and I'll go and read your email and respond to it, Garrett, okay? Guess we're gonna go ahead and sign off. I love you guys. God bless you. Thanks for studying with me tonight. Hope to, we didn't get very far in chapter 13, did we? We're gonna pick it up again on Friday, tomorrow, or Thursday. What is it with this everybody oh, we all think today's Thursday. On Friday, we're gonna pick up Revelation chapter 13 right where we left off and keep going. Uh, and I wanna really get into a lot of detail in this chapter in particular, so it'll be fun. Hope to see you on Friday, 7 PM Central, right here where you're watching now. And in the meantime, do right and risk the consequences. I love you guys. Good night.